So one of the favorites I want to share with you growing up. So we are gonna make a 1950s style JellO salad for Thanksgiving dinner. Welcome back to Modern Homestead Alaska. I'm so excited that you are here today for yet another massive meal preparation day. We are getting ready for Thanksgiving, and I thought these recipes would be fantastic to share for any of your upcoming holidays, including Christmas, which is celebrated around the world. Here, let's get started with some pies. I began with these fresh pumpkins. I get them at the grocery store. They're specifically a pie pumpkin. You simply bake it with a little bit of water underneath. We clean it out, we let it drain a little, and then I use the food processor to process down that pumpkin. I am literally making triple. I am doing 3 times the normal amount of this pie recipe. We discovered my mother-in-law's pie recipe actually makes 2 pies. So I am baking off 6 pumpkin pies, some for our family, some for the neighbors, some for friends, and one for a Friendsgiving that Wyatt is attending. I do make my own pie crust, but I don't love giving away my pie pans. Therefore, the giveaway pies are all in kind of a store-bought pie crust that is wonderful. And then I did make some homemade pie crust for the pies that we will be enjoying at the house. Those pies include a cherry pie, which, by the way, according to Cody and Wyatt, is one of the best pies I have ever made. Those were our home canned cherries that you and I canned up last year, and then I made cherry pie filling from that, and it turned out so wonderfully. I'm actually going to include the recipe in the description box in case you want to check that out. One of the fun traditions that we have for Thanksgiving is that everyone literally gets their own pie. Now, we do share the pies, but everyone gets a choice of what pie they would like me to make. And because we eat them all throughout the holiday and the weekend and so on following, all of the pies do end up getting ate. And so Cody's choice for pie, as always, this year, last year, every year before, is a homemade rhubarb pie. This is from my rhubarb that we grew, and then I just freeze it and get it ready for the holidays and keep it in the freezer for her, and then I'm able to make her favorite pie in the Thanksgiving and Christmas season. Caleb's choice of pie is going to be a pecan pie. And so that's what you see me making here for him, is a homemade pecan pie. I didn't know until a couple of years ago that these pies are so simple, and I totally recommend the recipes in the description box. Growing up, my grandmother always made this JellO salad. In honor of her today, she was diagnosed today with Alzheimer's. So we are gonna make a 1950s style JellO salad for Thanksgiving dinner. Let's get into it. So my grandmother, when she would make it, she always used lime as the top level, but I've seen throughout the years other ones if she had forgotten the lime JellO. And I don't have any lime. I don't even keep that stock. But what I did have was some raspberry, and we want to use half of the water that it calls for. So a quarter of the water and then a quarter of it as ice so that we can get it to set up quickly. And I got this at the fair here, the Alaska State Fair. And this is very reminiscent. Hers was much bigger. I'm not making a giant JellO salad. And so what we want to do is kind of set up this JellO, and then the other one goes on top. We're going to set in this mold maraschino cherries. So red on red. I think it's fine. Doing half of a cup of water and half of a cup of ice. So we want to dissolve the gelatin. So we're going to go in with half of a cup of ice in the dissolved gelatin. We're going to whisk this around for a couple of minutes. Maybe dark. That's okay. How fantastic! This one's for you, G-Mom. I know you're going to watch. You and Mom always watch my videos. My sister Mary and I were talking about this recipe the other day. Both her and I love it. Okay. Okay, let me show you. A cherry is in each little hole, okay? And then, okay. And then I'm just gonna come here and make sure with a slotted spoon there's no ice and remove some of the foam. Now I'm gonna let this sit out and cool and get all nice and set up while we build the rest of the JellO. All right, we have our directions here. So it's gonna just say nuts. She always did walnuts, but I got these beautiful pecans from a viewer, and I only use these in special recipes. So Caleb's pecan pie got the pecans in it. So a handful is about a half a cup, plus a couple. And then I'm just gonna use the Ninja to chop them today. And I keep those in the freezer and only use those for special recipes. They were so expensive. So we want the beautiful nuts throughout. To that, we are gonna add about the same on coconut. Perfect. So this is something it called for. So it actually calls for crushed pineapple this size, but needs to be drained. So we're just gonna keep on with the Ninja because I'm gonna end up putting the cream cheese and everything in here, so it's no big deal. Add 1 block of softened room temperature cream cheese. Now to this mix, it calls for 2 boxes of lemon JellO. What we want is to melt the cream cheese. We want to melt the JellO together. And then we'll add the other stuff in. So, well, that's perfect. That is whipped together in the most beautiful of ways. This gets stirred in here. It smells like I remember. Okay, we're only missing one thing. 1 small jar, so about a good chunk of this, of diced maraschino cherries. So cherries on top. Ew, that's gross. And cherries in. Now I didn't want to throw this in the food processor because I didn't want them to be that lost. They would just blitz right up. Oh, perfect. So this is just gonna hang out on the countertop until the other sets up, and then I'm going to gently pour this on, and then any of the leftovers I'll just put in another bowl. Because I already have this water back here boiling, I might as well do the base to our turkey brine. For our main turkey, we're only doing a turkey breast, not a whole turkey, and we are smoking it. So you run the risk of drying out that turkey breast. So if you brine it, you lessen the risk of drying it out. But second of all, brines are fantastic. The more that I have figured out about them and gotten into them, the better like our pork loins and other meats are doing. So 1 cup of kosher salt, and I'm just gonna use this boiling water, and I'm gonna put the turkey breast in this refrigerator container, and then to this I'm gonna add 1.5 cups of brown sugar. So to put it lightly, I've probably read 100 brine recipes, and I don't disagree with them or dislike any of them. But basically what you need is the salt and the sugar. Well, we have that, and now we can zhuzh it up. So I just go and look at what I have in the fridge. I have some limes. I like the citrus, and it's not gonna take on too terribly much of the flavor. So I can throw some limes in. I have a lemon here. I'm just slicing it all up. All just goes into the brine. And I like to put it in the hot so that it does kind of bring it down. Now, I have some mixed herbs here: Italian parsley, rosemary, and thyme. I think all of those, it's like heaven in a bundle. Just fantastic. Now, whole peppercorns are gonna go in here. So that much, maybe a tablespoon. And for us, we like spice, but it's really not gonna pick up that much spice. But we love red pepper flakes, so a good pinch of that. And it calls for all sorts of other things depending. Maybe you could do fresh bay leaves, some fruit juice, anything like that. But I think this will be perfect. Oh. Settle down. Six, made from the pumpkin, fresh pumpkin pies, cherry with crumb topping, and Cody's rhubarb. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I am just craving hanging out tomorrow and not having a super stressful Thanksgiving. That is why we are really good at doing the prep work ahead of time. And I have the goal of sweeping and mopping tonight and setting the table and doing some other things. And so I'm trying to prepare as much of the meal ahead of time as I can. What's generally different for me is I don't mind these big, long cooking days. In fact, my kitchen is one of my favorite places in the entire world, and I love to be in the kitchen. And so when I start craving like just that rest and that time with family, you know, generally on big meal cooking days like this, I don't get to spend the time. They conversate without me, and the family's doing all of these other things, and that's really not what I'm craving this year. So what I'm going to do is make ahead as much as I can. Now, strangely enough, I'm not gonna make ahead the mashed potatoes. I think mashed potatoes are best made right before you serve them. I like certain things like that. However, I did read, this is Ina Garten. It's not garden. Anyway, this is her green bean casserole recipe, and the person that posted it says that they make it ahead of time. They just follow it as closely until the baking point, and instead of baking it, they simply pop it in the refrigerator up to 48 hours ahead of time, and that is it, that it'll be perfect. So starting out in the pan, I have 2 tablespoons of butter in the cast iron pan. It calls for half of an onion, and we're gonna make this with fresh green beans. And then I was reading up some more on some of these turkey brines, and they call for onion and garlic and those sort of things, some of them. And so I thought, well, I now have a half of an onion that I'm not using for anything tonight. So I'm gonna throw that half of an onion in there as well. And then this is going to call for the button mushrooms, and it wants me to slice them. All right, and while I have those sitting there prepped, that was weird. It was almost like 2 heads. So I'm gonna throw some crushed cloves of garlic into our brine. I'm gonna start prepping the green beans. So I'm just gonna cut the ends off, throw it in the salad spinner, give them a good rinse, and then we're gonna pre-cook them, it says, just a little bit in some chicken broth. So what I'm trying to do today, and I have to kind of stop myself, is generally in a big meal like this, what I'm used to is running around and trying to do 4 or 5 different things at the same time. And today I've taken the time to just slow down, concentrate on each dish, just cook each dish individually by itself, each pie, like I only made the pumpkin pie. And then I did all of the work to prep the cherry pie. And then I did all the work to prep the rhubarb. And then I roll out, you know what I mean? So moving on, each little step, instead of doing, 500 different preps at the same time, and focusing on what am I grateful for? What do I really want? What has the last year been? And just trying to take the time to serve my family the best that I can, and to produce just a really beautiful meal tomorrow without a stressed out mom. So if that is doable, we will see if we can manage that. Oh my gosh, this pan, it's beautiful. Look at this caramelization. Let me bring in. Look at how it actually caramelized. Oh my gosh. Those of you that were here for Christmas last year, this was a surprise gift from Aaron. I wasn't supposed to get anything because he had already bought me some stuff. And then on Christmas morning, I opened up this fantastic cast iron pan. So that is something I am still super, super thankful for. I'm also thankful for my salad spinner. It came from a viewer as well. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna rinse my green beans with it. Okay, so it wants me to use this can of cream of mushroom soup. And it says to mix it in a separate bowl because the dish, and I'm gonna just put it in the dish that I'm gonna use tomorrow, cover it with foil. But it does want me to butter that dish. So, okay, waste not, want not on the flavor train. So it said to do it in a separate pan, but I'm going to use this pan, and it says 3 cups and then chicken broth. So in go the green beans. And this is my home canned chicken bone broth. And we're gonna just work the flavor off the bottom of this pan and use that in the green beans. So it says to mix this up. I hope it fits in here. Oh goodness, Jessica. Erin told me not to overdo it this year. Not in a bad or a negative way, but just enjoy myself. Don't overdo it. Make a beautiful dinner and spend some time with the family. And don't just kill myself in the kitchen. That is not what this holiday and this day is about. And so here I am making an abundance of food as if my entire family, siblings and all, are coming. So I did try to pare down and not double everything, but we'll see. Hopefully it'll fit in here. Maybe a little overflow, no problem. But I have an open stick of butter here. It does say to spray it, but I don't use any kitchen sprays. Not that I can't get one of those, you know, those pressure sprayer things that you put your own oils in. I just don't have any. So I'm just gonna butter this dish really good. Use your hands. Best tool is the one God gave you. So it specifically says do not overcook the green beans. I am gonna salt them for flavor because this is, the green beans themselves are steaming and we want them to have flavor. And a little pepper, because I don't do a whole lot of that in my broth. I forgot, I got it though, picked up at the cheese counter yesterday. This is real Parmesan cheese. $15 for this little chunk. How much is cheese where you guys are at? This was ridiculous. Anyway, so it calls for a 1/4 cup of it. So I'm just gonna grate it straight in to the mix. The green beans are turning bright green. I've never seen Parmesan cheese called for. Maybe I'm just used to people throwing canned soup and nothing else in. I don't know. But grated Parmesan cheese they called for. But I thought that sounded delicious. And then we'll reserve the crispy onions until tomorrow. But tonight we'll just get all of this in the baking dish together. I really want my green beans to have some crunch to them tomorrow. So they are gonna go in the baking dish. And look, they cooked down quite a bit. Everything's gonna fit. We're fine. We're fine. That is gonna be so good. That is not heavily, I don't know how to put it. There's not that heavy fake flavor to it. That is awesome. Okay guys, a little taste test. Make sure I didn't need to do any more salt or pepper before I got this completely stirred together. Next dish, cranberries. Let me get these rinsed. So our cranberry sauce, I made this for Erin kind of as a take on, everyone was doing jalapeno jellies for a while. Maybe they still do. Ooh, good stuff. Man overboard. So for a while, people were doing all these jalapeno jellies, and I love cranberry sauce. And so I combined the two ideas where I made a spicy cranberry sauce, and I do that for Erin. It is his favorite way. I do have some canned up, just regular cranberry sauce, but Erin loves this, and it is the perfect addition. That little sweet heat, the tartness from the cranberries on the turkey is amazing. And so after the very first year, we probably had only been married a couple of years when I first started doing this, and we have been doing it ever since. And so I am gonna take this orange and get him in there. So all I have is a bag of cranberries, a whole orange, and then sugar to taste. I'm starting it out with about half of a cup of sugar, and then all of this, I'll pull out the orange, and like that much, a tiny bit of cinnamon. And then I'll keep stirring this, and I'll let it go until it makes a jelly. It only takes a few minutes actually, but you could just opt out, leave the jalapeno out, and make cranberry sauce, and this is it. This is how you make cranberry sauce. It's literally this simple. Slowly working my way through my menu, I am moved on to the sweet potato casserole. This is another one from my grandmother, her recipe. We have had it almost my whole life, from whenever she had found it. I was a young child, and my children and husband love this, but not everyone in the family loves it. So I have a sibling that doesn't like it, so they don't make it, but for other members of the family, they love it. Wyatt on Friday is doing a Friendsgiving at a friend's house, and he has to take some dishes, and he will be taking a homemade pumpkin pie that we made earlier, and he requested that I make a sweet potato casserole for that. I'll make that one fresh on Friday before he goes over, but this one is for us. I only need 2 cups of sweet potatoes. I do normally double this, but again, I'll be making another one on Friday, so we'll just try and use only one. So I grate it up. In my mixing bowl, I'm gonna cream together a quarter of a cup of butter with 3/4 of a cup of sugar. To my butter and sugar, I'm going to do a little bit of cinnamon, half of a teaspoon or so, some fresh ground nutmeg, a little right in there, to that 2 eggs, and 3/4 of a cup of milk. I'm going to butter my baking dish. I'm gonna add my 2 cups, thereabouts. It's about 1 regular size sweet potato into the baking dish. I'm gonna chop a little pecan to top. And that's it. 325 for 45 minutes. So I just squeeze out the oranges. I just tasted it and it needs a little more sugar. So I'm gonna add that, let that melt, and it should be good.
Maybe we did. 10 out of 10.
That's so good. And this is why everyone gets their own pie. We eat it for everything. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Snack.
Okay, our JellO is pretty much set. We don't want to tip it, but look, all the little things stayed in. All right, we're gonna very gently spoon the rest of this. Get down here. This mixture in here. And hope that it worked.
It would just start spilling out.
Yeah?
You making another JellO?
Oh, I had too much for that mold.
Oh.
So now we have 2 JellO molds.
Well.
What's not to love?
No.
So I'm going to close out this video here. I do pop the turkey into brine, and because the video is so long, I've split this into 2 parts for Thanksgiving. We are going to get there. We're going to make it to Thanksgiving Day in the next video. We go for a beautiful ride on the Argo. We spend some fantastic family time, and we really do get to have that enjoyed, relaxed Thanksgiving together. I would love it if you would stick around the channel by hitting that subscribe button and come back and watch part 2 of this video. And until then, I will see you. I hope that you are super blessed. I'll catch up with you in the next video. Talk to you soon.